Hello, this is Brooke from The Roadshow. We're here at Courageous Sailing Center in Boston Harbor. You can see all of the sailing behind us. Hopefully my zoom is good enough to get that. And in the way distance is the Boston skyline and my Bic sail as we cruise down. I'm going to zoom in and see if we can get that. There it is. So here we are in Boston, and stay tuned for more. How long have you been coaching? Well, I guess that's a tricky question, but...
It really is. I have been coaching for 10 years. I'm gonna go with 10.
Oh, wow. And you started at the other Courageous.
I did. I started at Courageous in Charlestown. I started sailing there when I was 10 years old. And through community center in the community center in Rosendale, they provided a shuttle to Charlestown, and the lessons were totally free. And then when I was 16, I joined the instructor and training program that we have, and then became an instructor, and then became head instructor, and now I'm site director here at Camp Harborview.
Wow. So how did you even find out as a kid that Courageous was doing that?
It was literally through the Rosendale Community Center. They did a promotional thing through the local swimming pool that's there, and I'd taken all the swimming lessons I could take, and I was ready to do something different, and so my parents were like, okay, well, we'll give this a try. And then I fell in love with it, and I guess the rest is history.
And they got you.
Yeah, totally.
Wow, so what's different here being site director than Charlestown?
I think, ooh, that's a good question. I think the biggest difference is that not that our campers don't have family supporting them, but that family connection is lost. I'm not seeing Johnny's mommy and daddy as they drop them off for camp. The kids are bussed in from camp to the camp, and then so that connection of their lives is kind of lost a little bit. Where in Charlestown, we're seeing the parents, we're getting emails, we're getting phone calls from them. So.
Oh wow, that is an interesting difference.
Yes.
And especially, I mean, obviously not coming from sailing families, but you at least interact.
Right, which is, yeah, I wouldn't, because I'm not from a sailing family. I have 5 siblings, I'm the only one who sails. And it was totally opportunity. So that aspect I know is not part of it, but it is that once they leave camp, they potentially don't have this opportunity to sail again. It's a weakness in our 2 programs, but we're every year trying to work on the fact that we want them, when they're not here at camp, to go to Charlestown.
It's like how just your program works, and on a day-to-day, like what do you have to do to keep everything on target?
Sure. So I don't know if you want to pan out to the camp. So this camp houses about 300, not houses, but this camp has 360 kids per session, and those kids are then broken into 5 lighthouses that are called, and then we see maybe 20 kids out of each lighthouse. A morning session for 2 hours, then we have our club time, which is the choice time, and then another set of lighthouse kids from the afternoon session for, again, 2 hours.
Cool.
So.
And what about just like support? I know the camp is funded by the
Jack Connors and the City of Boston, and then they have partnerships like Courageous Sailing Center, like Tenacity, like City Fresh Foods, which provides all of their breakfast, lunch, and dinner snacks, things like that.
Wow, well, it's interesting. It's pretty intense, all these kids here.
It is. It is it's not seamless, but it is a well-oiled machine. Like it has its, I mean, it's camp, but it's amazing how many groups and organizations and different organizations that wouldn't have anything to do with each other on the mainland Boston all come together for these kids. So
absolutely.
I'm sorry, and the Boys and Girls Club, they're a huge part of this.
Of course, yeah. Yeah, and then I guess I was thinking, I mean, kids who have just like never experienced being on the water before.
Yeah, no, this camp is amazing because they really do definitely try to make sure that they're giving kids an opportunity that they wouldn't normally have. So sailing is a huge one. Our first summer here, we had little girls tasting the water because they didn't know that it was salty. They're from Boston. They live in Dorchester. They live in Rosedale. They live in Roxbury, and had no idea that this was ocean water, and had no idea that ocean water was salty. Like, that was just blew their mind. And for me, it's nice to see, because my instructors have, for the most part, come up through the Courageous Sailing Center program. So there is a bit of disconnect, as in we do kind of have to sell sailing because it's not an experience that these kids normally would have. So it's made my instructors think differently about sailing, and differently about the way that they teach, and the way that, how do they convey their love of sailing to these kids who have no idea. I think that if I was trying to sell someone on sailing, it's such a universal and such an intuition thing, that you don't need to have a lot of money, and you don't need to have there are not a lot of rules. It's very, I feel sailing is very natural, and it's not that hard to learn how to do.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Well, thanks.